Welcome everyone to another episode of Say It Sister, where Karen and I, Lucy, get to talk about whatever is on our mind, the way that friends do. We are best friends, colleagues, coaches, and women learning how to live and be in our sovereign era, and it is magnificent. And at the time of recording, I'm not going to lie, we're sweating. We're in the middle of a red alert heat wave. It's also solstice celebrations and all that outward sun energy, and there's no better way to do it than with friends. And after seeing a photo on, I think it was Friday or Saturday, of Karen out on the town with her newfound school mum friends, I thought, yeah, let's make this episode all about friendship. It's that energy of being out there, socializing, being active, being part of the world. And it made me also think about the friendships that I've got, the ones who are old season ones, some who come into your life just for a reason, and yeah, some who are just, the whole lifetime stuff. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. And it made me think about some proximity stuff that is mentioned in the Mel Robbins book, Let Them. Now, she talks about friendships, and in particular adult friendships. And I don't think it's her work, it's some other researcher, but she talks about the three things that you need to develop adult friendships. One is proximity. So you need to be able to spend time together. And Karen and I spend every week together. We do this call, we're chatting all the time. So although we're not physically together, we're together. And friendships do grow more easily when people are near each other. Whether you work together, you share activities and hobbies. So even if you move away, you find a way to keep in contact, the friendship is preserved. Then there's timing. And this is about compatible life stages. And so you'll notice that age doesn't become so significant in adult relationships. It's all about where you are in your life, whether you are parenting, whether you're a dog owner, whether you're retired. And it's those kind of that timing, experiencing the same life patterns that brings friendships together. And then there's the energy match. And that means that it's that feeling good, reciprocal kind of energy. And it's like emotional chemistry. So it's not one person doing all of the work. It's that, both of you are in it, you're invested, you want to hang out together, you want to chat. Or if you're not a chatter online like I am, that you actually, respect that, and you don't get offended if somebody needs to take time out. So it's an energy connection. So I just thought I'd throw that in there, because as children, when you're sat in the same classroom, day in, day out, the same school, well, of course you're going to find a best friend easily, but it gets that little bit harder as an adult. So being as you were my muse for this topic, Karen, I want to say welcome. And what do you make of all that?
Well, I'm still in the photograph and I'm realizing my microphone is quite far away, so I'm just going to move my microphone. I think the heat has gone to my head. There we go.
It's hot.
It's hot and it's like the little details are slipping away. But the photograph was really powerful for me because I didn't know it was being taken. And then when the photograph came through the next day, I was like, oh, wow, like it was just such a powerful, we're all walking forwards together and you can just tell that there's this energy that's being passed around. And I've got my hands in the air and I'm sort of pointing and everything just looks amazing. The lights, the nightlife lights are sort of like really neon. My hair's swishing, all our hair's swishing. And it was like, wow, I'm 50 years old and look at me. And I think as I'm aging, friendships are coming back in a very different way. And it's given me so much life, because when I became a new mum at 43, I lost a lot of friends at that point. Like a lot of the old fell away. And I was a bit like, I was in my cocoon. And I was in that cocoon for such a long time. And then when Catalina went to school, I met some really nice mums and we would all talk on the path. I met some really not very nice mums and had lots of problems there. So it was kind of like, both were present, like negativity and then positivity. And over time, Catalina is now in her third year at primary school. Over time, the relationships have got deeper and deeper and deeper. and we're making more of a commitment to meet up and go out and have fun. And then Friday, one of the girls said, you know, Karen, we've booked a taxi and we're going into Leeds, knowing full well that I'd normally say absolutely not. Like, I'm not going out clubbing. And I just looked at her and I just thought, and she said, but you can get a taxi home whenever you want. We'll make sure you're fine. Da, da, da. And I just thought, what? Why not? It was about 10:30 at this point. I was having such a good time. Off we went. And then we went to a gay club. And that was what I used to do when I was 18. I used to go to the gay clubs, dance, put my hands in the air. And it was this feeling of liberation. But I couldn't have done it without this set of friends, because I think all my other friends, anyone else, would just go, she won't go. So I think there's something about friendship where we invite each other into something, and we might just say, just give it a try, or come on, like we're doing it, just come along, where we encourage each other. And I think the word encourager is really, really important, because for me, I want to be in friendships where we encourage each other, where it's positive, not fake, but positive, uplifting, but also there's a deep level of truth. And for me, that's what female friendships give me, because I love women and I love being in the company of women. And I've got an 8-year-old girl, so I do need adult conversation. And I've lost my filter at this point in life. So I need to be around women who are okay with that, and who can handle like real life conversations. Yeah, I can't imagine my life without talking to you every week. I can't imagine my life without seeing these mums every single day on the school run. And then there are other people that come and go. And when I see them, it's like I saw them yesterday. And I'm just so grateful, because I feel like life can feel lonely at times, and we can feel like we're a bit lost and we don't really know, like, where are we going with this? And it's that solidarity and it's that sisterhood, that when we plug into it in the right way, it doesn't really matter. All of the sort of like the worries fall away, and before we know it, we're laughing, or sharing something, or planning, like we're making a plan to do something else. And I think, God, we just need each other so much. Tell me about your friendships.
So I've got, I always say, I've got six best friends. And like the girls when they were younger, they're like, no, you have one. I'm like, no, that's not true at all. And I have a friend who calls them her Care Bears, because you remember, like, they all had a different symbol on,
Uh-huh.
and they were all for a different reason. And each one of my best friends is for a different reason. And so my oldest friend, we literally meet around Christmas time every year. And we have a good catch up for about 3 hours, and then we don't see each other again until Christmas the next year. And we actually met when I was at high school. Um, and yeah, we spent about 2 years literally being in each other's pockets and sharing everything. And then she settled down quite early. She became a mum, and that timing, that proximity, I'd moved to Nottingham. So I went away. So all of those things kept us disconnected. However, we said, because it was before mobile phones when I moved up there, we said we would always make sure once a year we would always gather. And it's just beautiful. We don't need any more than that. But she's the one who knows me in my truest self, the one as I was a child. And then more recently, I'd say over about the last 5 or 6 years, my old yeah, schoolmates are gathering now. Thankfully, I've got one who is the encourager, and she put us in a WhatsApp group, and we're always planning something. And so I was with them a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, we've all come and gone at different stages, because some of us had children young, some people never had children, some of them, like, their kids are 30 now. So through that, we did go our separate ways, but now we've rediscovered ourselves, and actually we're all going through very similar things, just in terms of life stages and health and things like that. So that I really, really regard highly, because it's just, yeah, it's like being 14 again. It's just great. And we're off to a afternoon rave in a few weeks' time, and then we are doing a spa in September, because we're all turning 50 in the following 12 months. So we're doing those special things. And then I have my best friend who I met at uni, and that is 30 years of friendship, and we love each other dearly. Um, and we've gone through all life phases together. So it's been proximity, it's been energy, it's been timing, everything. And yeah, that's special. In fact, I don't know who I'd be in this world without her. It's that special. And then I've got people who I met through business, and so you are one of them. And I've got my friend Sonia, who is another. You're both very different people, so you're both a gift to me. And then I've got my school mum friend, and we met when both of our youngest were in nursery, and the girls just became besties. So we started doing that, oh, pop round and have a glass of gin. And then it started that actually we were the friends. As it turns out, we're all like, we've been on holiday together, we've done all of the proms together, we've done 40th birthdays together. We are friends and they are friends. So I feel incredibly lucky that I've been able to maintain those friendships. But there have been times when I felt incredibly isolated and very lonely. And I think some of those times it's when I've been going through stuff that I haven't wanted to put my energy into those friendships.
Yeah.
And I felt maybe a little bit resentment, because they all seemed really happy and I wasn't, and I didn't want to play the game. But I forced myself back into it because I realized it was me that was the common denominator. So yeah, that's my relationship. I'm incredibly lucky.
Yeah, I know. I hear that. And I mean, it's sort of taking me into when we lose friendships as well, because as we're sort of aging and we're going on different journeys and we're also experiencing life differently, and change is a massive force and it breaks us open. But I think in the journey being broken open, we almost also need something different. And not everyone can come on that journey with us.
Yeah.
And sometimes it becomes too uncomfortable, even too painful to be in the room with people. And now I had that experience because I was just like, actually I was on a different journey for quite a long time. I had a friendship group and we would all sort of been party friends, and we'd sort of done a lot of traveling together, and we've been to a lot of amazing places and had so much fun together. And this is from my 20s, when I was working in PR and communications, and I was an it girl really in a way. And, I was out there living a high lifestyle, and I had these friends, and I had some really amazing friends in that group too, like people I still love to this day. Yet as I was going on a different journey, connecting more to my spiritual side and opening up, I found myself thinking, I don't really know where I fit. And when we all met up, everyone fell into the same pattern. So it was the same conversations and it was the same behaviours. And I was really struggling to sort of like, I can't be in both of these worlds. It just doesn't feel right. But yet they were still my friends and I loved them and all the rest of it. And then life just took its own course for me. Things started to happen and it broke up my friendship circle. The sexual assault that I experienced was somebody that I knew who, was in our friendship circle, but he was a man. And it had such a huge impact on that group. And I know everybody they had their own version and their own experience with that. And I think it was just deeply, deeply uncomfortable. And people weren't talking about sexual assault in the way that they are today. Like there's been a cosmic shift, I think, with women being able to talk about this, being able to share it, and people feeling more equipped. My throat's getting tight. And I noticed it and I just thought I didn't feel safe in the group anymore, basically. And my safety was the most important thing to me. And it just took time, but slowly, these people started to sort of move away, and I was relieved because I couldn't carry it. And also I just wanted to be sort of by myself. And there was, I think, one friend that stuck the course with me who I met up with today. We went for a coffee and she met Ernie, my dog, for the first time. And it was just so nice to see her. And I feel quite emotional because I haven't seen her for a while, but I know she's still my friend. And we just sat and we chatted and we didn't spend too long because it was really hot. But I just was like, wow, like this friendship has actually been through quite a lot and I really value it. And when I stop to think about it, like right now in this moment, I really value it because she was solid for me. And I think when the going gets tough, sometimes people have to leave and maybe they come back together again later on. Maybe that friendship reconnects, but I don't feel that is actually what's going to happen. but I don't know. And I remember, I've told you this before, but I remember when I was working with my old coach, Helen House, and she said to me, on the other side of this, you are going to have the most beautiful friendships. I'm getting emotional. You're going to meet the most amazing women. You won't believe it right now. You will not believe it. Because when I was doing the therapy work as well, they were like, well, who actually had the sexual assault? Was it you or was it somebody else? Because it sounds like it wasn't you. Like sounds like they've made it about them. And so I had to untangle all of that. And so then I thought, well, friendship, like what is friendship really about? And I went on a deep journey, but then as I did my own healing work, women did start to arrive. Like you came back into my life with similar shared experiences, and slowly and surely things started to evolve, and there is like an opening that needs to happen on the inside for us to have partnerships and relationships with friends. Well, we have to be able to look in that person's eyes and think, you've got my back. I can see that you've got my back. You want the best for me. It's not always easy, but like we're committed and we're going to sort of, do the work on our relationship and we're going to stay the course. So I think there was a lot from me there, but I am so happy and so grateful that I did my own personal deep diving healing work. I allowed myself to open, and then I allowed myself to trust again, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have all these amazing women in my life right now and all these amazing friends. It's not thousands of women, but it's like,
You don't need
it's a
thousands.
solid crew of
Yeah.
different women who I know who to go to, and they know who to when to come to
Yeah.
me. And that's what matters to me, really.
And it's interesting for me, because like with my ride or die, my 30-year-old friendship, there's lots of qualities about me that she doesn't like. There's lots about her that I don't like. And there we can annoy each other. We know we're never going to go on holiday together because we'd kill each other. But there is something there that is so soul based because we have been through births, deaths, marriages, miscarriages, infidelity, divorces, you name it. We've held each other all the way through that. And it is probably the longest and most significant relationship of my life. And that's why I said I feel really grateful, but it's not all happy clappy. We're all having like laughter all the time. It's a friendship that is beyond that superficial. I've got other friends who they are just like my laughing buddies, and it is all superficial. And I go to them because it's no stress and it is just barbecues and giggles. And I really appreciate them, but there's only two people I can get really deep with, and that is my other friend, and that's with you. And I think you two probably know me better than anybody on this planet. And that is something really special. And that's why I said, you have like a reason, a season, and a lifetime friends. And the lifetime friends are special. And like you said, we only reconnected, what, 4 years ago, maybe? And before then, we'd been, I guess, acquaintances, Facebook friends. And so it's a real gift to be able to reconnect and make friends in later life. And I think that's something that surprised me. And it's something that I keep telling my children, your high school friends or your university friends, you might get one that you keep forever, but
Yeah.
most of your friends you haven't even met yet. And isn't that exciting?
So exciting. And it's funny, isn't it? Because I think there can be people in our lives who we break contact with, and then if somebody's coming up in your mind, this is another thing that happened to me. Like I had a best friend who I met when I was 5 years old, and we grew up together and did everything together, like your friend as well. And we were actually very close. We would, see each other a couple of times a year, and then got to my wedding. Now, a couple of things had happened in the build up to that. And then the wedding was like highly stressful, for me on many different levels. I'm not going to go into it because I'd be here all day. And after that, we had a conversation, and I said, well, you kind of let me down. And a lot of people did on my wedding day. So she wasn't the only one. It was a really hard conversation to have. And it didn't get heard in the way that I hoped it would, because the reason I wanted the conversation was to clear it so we could move forward. I didn't want to just let things lie in the relationship. And And then we didn't speak for maybe 6 years.
Wow.
And, but I never stopped loving her. And I remember like, it felt like there was a hole in my life. And it got to the point one day when I was going back to my parents and I just thought, I'm going to send a message to her. And I just said, I'm going to be home. I would love to see you. Let me know. I can't remember how I phrased it, but she got back fairly quickly and said that would be really nice. Oh my God. When I first saw her walk into Starbucks, I cried for nonstop for 10 minutes. I couldn't even speak. I just was like, you know, it was all coming out. And we just hugged each other. She had a big bunch of like white flowers and we were just hugging. And it was like time stood still. And, you just sometimes it's just such an ache when you miss somebody who you love. And I'm so glad we did that. And then now we get together every now and then, and it's just so wonderful. Like, and we're both so grateful because we were like, what have we been doing for these 8 years that we allowed this rift to be present in our lives? Because we're very much like, if I ever had a sister, she would be my sister, and to not have her in my life now again feels crazy. And it's not like we're in each other's pockets, but there's just something sometimes in your life, if you can have a fallout or whatever, where you feel incomplete without that person. But it takes time to allow the work, whatever needed to happen in that time for both of us to finally come back together again was just so healing and so wonderful. So I also just want to say to anyone that's listening, if you have a Teresa, that's my person. If you have that person and you've let things get in the way, it's definitely worth reaching out and trying to reconnect and find your way through it, because the healing and the hope and the reconnection point and the gratitude is just beyond.
Oh, that's beautiful. Revisiting my old school friends has been quite healing for me as well. So getting back in touch with them and telling stories and hearing their perspectives of stuff um, has, yeah, really helped me understand who I was and stuff that happened. And like the stories that you tell yourself about how your life was and what school was like for you and da da da. Then you hear it from their perspective. You're like, oh God, did I make that up? Or did I misremember it to be probably the hero or the victim in my own story?
Yeah.
And it helped me to really understand my life and who I was and the things that I'd believed and now I could unbelieve about me as a person. And one of the examples of this was I always felt unlovable when I was at school. And it was at the stage where all of my friends were getting boyfriends, and we were probably like 9, 10, 11, it was like that Valentine's card. And I never got any. I never got Valentine's cards. I never got asked out on a date. And so I just thought I was ugly and I was unlovable and all that kind of stuff. And then we all got together. He said, "Oh, but all the boys fancied you, Lucy." And I'm like, "Did they?" And they're like, "Yeah." They said, "But they were all too scared to ask you out in case you said no." And I'm like, wow. And it was just something that I was completely unaware of. And it actually changed my perception
Yeah.
of my childhood and my relationships with men and all of that kind of stuff. So there's something there that when you've got a true friend who, whether it's a new friend or an old friend, they can give you a perspective on yourself that nobody else can give. And I think that is such a gift, but I think you have to be able to receive that.
Yeah.
And that's where that trust comes. Like they are giving you this information because they genuinely care about your friendship and they love you. And perhaps, at that time when you gave that feedback to your friend, she wasn't in a place where she was ready to receive, but now she is. And so I love that idea of just keeping the door open,
Yeah.
just allowing, because who knows what might happen.
Exactly. And I think with time, none of it really matters, actually, because she certainly was not responsible for my wedding day, being anyway. Like, that wasn't her responsibility. So, and a lot happened on one day. So it was like a mountain of things, really. I feel like in time, if you've got a friendship or you love somebody, you can totally patch anything up and you both want to do the work, then you can. But I think sometimes in the moment when things are happening, it just all feels a bit raw. And I was certainly going through a lot at that point. It's
Mm,
interesting for me as well when I think about, the things that we believe about the things we believe about ourselves that are not true. And we're doing this work at the moment with our unapologetic leaders group. The things that we, like being ugly and unlovable. And I've certainly had those limiting beliefs as well, by the way, as somebody growing up. I don't have them anymore, but they're definitely two that I can associate with. And I see this as a common thread for so many women that, like if I don't look like that and I don't appear that way and my hair isn't like that or whatever it might be, then I'm ugly. And therefore we have to go spend loads of money on X, Y, and Z to make ourselves look beautiful. But actually, what we're realizing as we're getting older is that actually that beauty is inside of us.
yeah.
And, you know, whatever we do, it's almost like you can't really hide beauty. It's a true element that comes out of us. And I think that's what I've got to in my life, where I think the word that I get described the most as is beautiful.
Mm.
And in our leadership training, there is a type, and it's the beauty type. And that's not about how you look aesthetically. It's got nothing to do with, like how you look. It's more about your reverence towards nature. There is even a sort of a singy song tone to the voice. So there is a natural beauty that comes out of a beauty type. We are very deep, yet we can be very still. So there's all of this that makes someone beautiful, but it's got nothing to do with the colour of my hair or the colour of
And do you
my
know what?
eyes.
The phrase your vibe attracts your no your yeah your
Your
vibe
vibe
attracts
protects your
your
tribe.
tribe. It's so true because actually when I was younger, and it was around my sixth form day, so I went to a new sixth form. And some of my old school friends were there, but we were all in different mindsets and stuff. And I was not in a very good place. I felt the loneliest and most disconnected from myself than I've ever done in my whole life. And I was trying to find new friends and where I fitted in. And because I was unsure about myself and not actually being very kind to myself and yeah, having one night stands and things like that, because there was like quite a lot of loathing going on. um, I absolutely did attract my vibe. And the people who I was hanging around with were either using me, they didn't really like me, they were actually quite, like, well, looking down on me. And I was trying to get attention and trying to fit in. And, absolutely, my vibe did attract the wrong people. Whereas now, and probably for the last 20 odd years, I only surround myself with people who are jolly good people. They
Yeah.
think the same, they believe the same at their core as what I do. We're not like carbon copies of each other, but we believe in the same kind of things and have very similar values. And it's such a gift. And I think that's something that that beauty thing that you said. Actually, every single person you've ever introduced me to or got on the podcast, I get it. They are beautiful souls, and they're in your life because that's what you attract.
Yeah, and absolutely. And it's really important to acknowledge that and to see it because, sometimes you're like, well, who do you let in and who do you keep out? I feel like that is really important question to ask yourself when you're, entering any new space. It's like, what am I attracting in? What do I want in? What do I absolutely not? And when I hear of the patterns, where women are repeating the same patterns over and over and over and over and over again, and I just think something is really off. And we need to get into that and we need to do that deep work. We need to encourage ourselves to do that work and we need to encourage each other to do that work because it's only when we go in and we see the patterns and we see what's underneath and we see where they were formed and then we start to do the healing work. That's how we redesign our lives. But
Yeah.
you can't just flip something that, like a negative belief, you can't just flip it in your head and go, oh, I've always believed I was unlovable and now I believe I'm lovable. Da-da, here we are. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. And so when things are not going to plan, when we're attracting the same, we know we've got a block. And then it's the work that is done around that, which actually that creates the space that then is the vibration that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think the mean girls trope is probably one of the most damaging ones because if you believe that girls are mean because let's face it, every single person has had a bad experience with another
Yeah.
female. That maybe they called you a name or they didn't want to play with you in the school playground. And then you watch all of the movies or TV shows, and there's always a mean girl or a gang of mean girls. And you
I
can
have to
start
say
going,
something here
oh,
because,
go,
like, I am incensed by the crap that's on the TV for young girls.
oh,
Incensed. And
yeah,
this is on like Netflix, it's on the BBC. Not I'm not talking about YouTube because that's like the Wild West. Or social media, that's the Wild West. I expect that kind of trash to be on those places. But this is on like yeah, when Catalina Peppa Pig was like, okay, Peppa Pig, quite sweet, innocent, good with that, can deal with Peppa Pig. But after Peppa Pig, it went downhill. And I was watching these programs when I would sit and watch the TV with her, and I was like, this is not true. This is not true. This is not reflective. And I was so annoyed, the LOLs and all of that. And this is all mean girl mentality.
yeah,
And obviously the good girls win on these. So there's always that, like, there's the villain is the mean girls, and then the good girl, and it's in the films, it's everything, and the good girl wins. Now we know in life it's not as straightforward as that. As you get older, you're like, sometimes the mean girls do win, but they haven't got any integrity. Whereas I might look like I'm losing, but I've got high integrity, and for that makes me a winner. So I'm at peace with that. But looking at as a young child, I've had to seriously work with my child, and I'm still working with her to be like, no, that's not it. That's not the behaviour, and that's not the attitude. You can be a bit sassy if someone's really challenging you and being mean. I don't mind you being sassy, but we're not going out to be sassy.
yeah.
So I had to
It's not
say
the
that because
default
I feel like
position.
the conditioning and
Yeah,
it's there, and it's there from probably about the age of 2.
yeah. And even when you go to see the school teachers because your child's having some issues settling in and making friendship groups, and they're like, well, just girls are horrible or girls are bitches. Like,
Yeah,
stop telling them that because it gives them permission to be that. If you actually just say, well, girls actually need support in making positive friendships, then a completely different lens. Or actually, girls feel stuff more, but
yeah,
actually they love and care for their friends and are loyal to their friends more. Have that lens
yeah,
instead, because I see so many women who don't have the blessings that you and I have about how many friends that we've got, and they are lonely. But then it goes back to when you talk to them, it's like, well, I go to baby group and nobody talks to me. I'm like, well, are you talking to them? Or are
yeah,
you leaning in? Because they might have a bit of judgment, or they might think, well, I don't like the look of them. People can sense the negativity coming off you. So I'm not blaming people who are lonely, but I'm saying that actually the energy that you put out there, because I'm a little Miss Ray of Sunshine. I'm positive. I'll go and talk to anybody. I hate to see anybody sitting on their own, and I will go and try and make friends with everyone. But if the energy vibe isn't there, I leave well alone. Because,
absolutely.
but if there's an energy match, wow, we're best friends.
Exactly. No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I think as well, I have thought a lot about like female friendships and even that how we are. And, I'm going to go back to Cleopatra. This is about women are strategic. We really are working things out, and there's a lot going on with the psychology with women. And because we are intuitive and we are using our instincts, now this gets trained out of us. We are sensing stuff all the time, and we're making very fast judgments, faster than what our brain can keep up with. And I really, really believe that we have this sort of like antennae for things. And that is the female approach, and that's the gift of women as well, like working it all out on such a top level and then able to sort of like move. Now, if women do this together and align together, then you've got such a powerful force. But
Yes.
unfortunately, everything is set up for that to be trained out. And therefore, women then get quite lost, and then they don't know how to align, or they're unsure that they're going to be understood. I went through that. Like, I was always like scared that people would not understand me. And I must have had some sort of problem with communication quite early on. I don't know where it came from exactly. It doesn't really matter. But now I've got to a point where I'm like, no, I know how to communicate. I've been a great communicator all my life. Where this other thing comes from, it's from the side. Could it be conditioning? Yes, it could. Who knows? But I'm just not listening to it anymore. And I will show up and speak. And if no one understands me, I don't care. I'm still going to keep speaking because someone will understand in the room and someone will get on board with me, and that's all it takes. So that's a long-winded way of me saying that, rather than being like girls are more bitchy, I just think they're working stuff out.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have the language for it yet as children, but they're like that person, don't like, like it's, and they're not going to start necessarily bopping people around the head, or the other kids around the head, whereas the boys will, bop someone over the head if they don't like something. Like the girls are just, we
We
programmed
use our
differently.
words and our emotions to communicate whether we like something, tolerate something, etc. I read about some bit of science which I found absolutely fascinating, and it was about how the male. So everything we know about the nervous system was only ever tested on men. And so when we were told that to regulate ourselves, we needed dopamine, that reward factor to make us feel good, and we kept then reinforcing that behavior that would give us that, and it was all positive. Well, actually, that was just how men responded. And
Yeah.
now, I think only since the year 2020, no, it had a two in it. Um, they've been studying women's nervous systems, and actually, it's oxytocin that is the one that regulates women.
Yeah.
And dopamine, absolutely, for women, these constant driving and trying to like get rewards and keep going and keep striving for success, that actually depletes our
Yeah.
oxytocin. It makes us into lone wolves. It makes us isolated.
Well, that's
And
burnout, isn't it? That's burnout
yeah,
for women.
that's where it turns out. And actually, all women need to do to restore is just gather with other women. It's really quite that simple. We need loyalty, we need connection, we need to just feel held and safe. And that's what we do, obviously, in our women's groups. But every time we do coaching, every time we go for coffee or go on a dog walk with somebody, meet another mum to take your kids out, it's just oxytocin, oxytocin, oxytocin.
Yeah.
It helps regulate us because pretty much every time I've spent time with another woman who's got that same energy vibe as me, I come away feeling better.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? It's like plugging into each other it is the medicine for sure. And feeling like we're safe in a space is the medicine. I mean, it is simple for women, I agree with you. And yet we need that, and we need to be doing it and cultivating it every single week at
And it
least.
feels like rebellion because it's everything opposite to what we've been conditioned to believe. And do you know what, Karen? I have to tell you, it is 40 degrees in this room. I am sweltering. So I'm going to ask us, can we close this?
Absolutely.
That's friendship, like just saying it as it is.
Absolutely. And we've been talking here for quite a while, so I think we've probably covered everything we need for today. I'm going to read something. They say women become invisible as they age. They say we shrink, soften, and stay quiet. They say we tuck our truth neatly out of sight. They say we lose our voice, that we fade, that we are finished, that we are alone, that we are friendless. They were wrong. This is the era of remembering. This is the era of rising, of taking up space in ways we were never taught to, of joining the dots in friendships together, to rewriting the stories together. Who's in? So thank you for listening today. We are so grateful for you, and we wish you the very best of times this week. Keep saying it, sister, keep sharing, and keep connecting. Lots of love.